Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus Reports. Today is August 14th, 2024, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's going on out there, everybody? This is Ben Dickerson. I am your co-host. I'm ready to talk some football. Preseason week 1 is in the books. Rookies getting it done. Teams starting to come into shape. Getting a chance to see a lot of backups. Getting a chance to see a lot of free agents. Getting a chance to watch your particular team start to take form.
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, we got so many things on the docket for today, but we had football. We had some live hitting. You know, I called you at one point. I'm looking at the Giants game. I'm like, who's that running back? Just shook that guy out of the socks and went in, you know.
Eric Gray.
Say it again.
Eric Gray.
Okay, all right. So what games did you get a chance to watch, and what kind of stood out?
One game that I watched pretty intently was I wanted to see my man Michael Penix Jr. because I liked him coming into the draft. I liked his arm. I liked his knowledge of the game. I liked the way he performed in the national championship game, although Washington did lose that game to Michigan. I like what I saw with him. Also, it was a big deal when Atlanta picked him early on, having just brought Kirk Cousins into town. So that was kind of we kind of compared that to when the Packers picked Jordan Love when they still had Aaron Rodgers going. So that was a big deal too. So I wanted to take a look at Michael Penix Jr. The other guys, I didn't watch the entire game. I didn't necessarily see full games live, but I did watch some replays, and I thought the most interesting thing, although I was trying to keep an eye on a lot of the highly picked rookies, was especially the rookie quarterbacks, because let's face it, this draft, the most players that were talked about were the rookie class of quarterbacks coming in. So those are the guys that I was looking at the most.
Yeah, like the most rookies in the first 10 picks or something like that in a long time or ever or something like
Right.
that. Lots of good rookies. And yeah, Michael Penix was definitely an issue. Like, why would they go get a guy that, that good? But that means they got two good quarterbacks, and we can talk about that concept a little bit later. I watched a little bit. We had to check out Jaden Daniels, quarterbacking with the Commanders, and he's getting nothing but praise. I mean, they're really impressed by him. I heard one commentator already say they think he could be the rookie of the year. So,
I agree. That's a strong possibility.
yeah.
It's still early, folks.
Oh, early. Of course, you have the your one of your nemesis to talk about, and I'll say it that way. One Mr. Aaron Rodgers had his statement about preseason being a complete waste.
Well, it's a complete waste for a lot of veteran players. I'm sure there's a whole ton of veteran players that feel exactly the same way.
The challenge is that on an individual basis, it may be a waste, or it may seem like a waste, I'm going to say, because I'm not going to agree with that. The value is in the team concept and what you can do if you get an opportunity, when you get an opportunity to play, especially when you're not just running your plays against the defense. All of a sudden, there's somebody on the other end that has bad intentions for you. So that to me, that changes the thing. And, how much you play your quarterback, especially someone like an Aaron Rodgers in the preseason, maybe a question mark. So we've had a few guys go down in the preseason, in terms of quarterback, notably J.J. McCarthy, who you mentioned, was playing well and wound up out for the season. You mentioned my Niners, and from what I'm hearing, we canceled the practice. We've had so many injuries.
What they did was they were supposed to have a dual practice with another team. I forget who it was. I think it was the Patriots. I'm not sure though. But they canceled the dual practice to just practice amongst themselves, where they can control the physicality of the practice.
So, that was one of the things I think that people were talking about that could be placed in the exhibition game was, and you might have even mentioned it, but these dual practices, that they have, and maybe even as opposed to exhibition games at some point in the future, if they increase the number of games that they play. In addition, let me think, who else did I get to see? I saw a little bit of the Patriots. I saw some starting quarterbacks, that Patrick Mahomes got a few passes in, Let me say what I want to say about Caleb Williams. I did get a chance to watch him, and I watched him on replay a couple times. But he has the talents, there's no question. It's going to be the interesting thing for me is I saw like at least one instance, it could have been more, where he threw the more difficult pass when the easy pass was right in front of him.
Okay.
I'm consistent, if nothing else, So, but he ran a little bit. He slid quite well, didn't get touched. Very smart man. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out with him, especially when he actually has all of his starters around him. So that's going to be very interesting.
There isn't a rookie quarterback in this class that's been set up talent-wise or putting talent around him any better than Caleb Williams.
Probably so.
To the point where I believe that he will either excel or fall flat on his face. And if he falls flat on his face, it won't be anybody's fault but his own. But from what I saw from that first game, I don't think that will happen. He was the #1 pick overall. He only played 2 series. To me, he was pretty impressive. He had 2 drives. Both those drives ended in field goals. He threw well from the pocket. He looked very poised. He threw well on the move, and he looked good under pressure, as shown by a little screen pass that he actually threw. He had pressure in his face. He kind of 3/4 armed it to the back. DeAndre Swift, I believe, and he took it like 42 yards. So that's a pass that some quarterbacks might not have even been able to complete, having that kind of pressure in their face. So I got to give him credit for that. He completed 4 out of 7 passes, not much. 2 passes were dropped, by the way. He could have been 6 out of 7. 95 yards. He ran 1 time for 13. And like he said, he had a really nice slide. I think we saw some video of them using a slip and slide in practice in Chicago. Yeah, well, he had a perfect slide. Perfectly timed, never put himself in danger.
Yeah, they weren't even within touch of him.
Right. He knew when he wanted to get down, and he got down.
Got down. So, yeah. So that's going to be a promising competitive division overall, I think. So now the Vikings, who is it? Sam Darnold stepping in for the Vikings?
Sam Darnold. Let me just say this about Sam Darnold. We won't take it too far because, again, Sam Darnold's a guy that's been on a couple different teams. Sam Darnold's a guy that came into the league with a lot of expectations attached to him, if that's the right way to say that. The best comparison I can give for Sam Darnold coming into the league is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is now on his 4th different team, and he took Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the playoffs and won a playoff game, when just a couple of years ago, people were saying he might be a bust. So there's still hope for Sam Darnold. I believe Sam Darnold is now with his fourth team. So I know he's had some little bit of disastrous situations in New York and in Carolina. Oh, he didn't play terrible in Carolina, but he just didn't. They didn't believe in him. He's got a chance to really.
That's when he was Sam Darnold dual threat quarterback.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. Sam Darnold's major issue is turnovers. His turnovers are bad. If you look at his numbers, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I've seen them. Your eyebrows are going to go up. You'll be like, oh my God. If he can calm that down, all the good parts of his game will shine through. He's got the arm talent. He can move. He's had to learn several different offenses over his little bit of time in the NFL. He's pretty much done it. It's just a matter of protecting the ball. But whatever competition or mysterious supposed competition there was in Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy, that is now gone. It's a shame for J.J. He actually played well in the preseason game. He sustained a torn meniscus in his right knee in the game against the Raiders. Right now, it's a question as to whether he'll be back this season or not. He's got two choices, and I don't think it's been announced yet. The torn meniscus, evidently, it's not a full tear, okay? So they can do what they call shave it, and he can be back in a few weeks. Or they can completely repair it, and that would be a couple months recovery, in which case they should probably just sit him down for the rest of the season. He actually played well against the Raiders, 11-17, 188, 2 touchdowns. Again, if they can take care of this thing with a shaving thing, he could actually be back. And if Darnold falters, he'll be there to take over. I kind of hope they just go ahead and repair the thing and let him sit out the season and come back next year.
According to what I'm seeing here, basically, they're already saying he's out for the season. So that's the report.
That came out today?
I'm looking at it right now. Jason McCarthy out for the 2024 season. That was 2 hours ago by the New York.
Okay, 2 hours ago they made the decision. Because as of this morning, the decision hadn't been made.
Okay.
So that's good. I think that's good.
And when you mentioned Sam Darnold, a quick search said that he has 70 turnovers in his career. So, and you said he's been around how many years?
4.
Okay. So
he played for the Jets. He played for Carolina. He's with the Vikings now, and he was with
the Niners.
Bam.
Yeah.
But why did the Niners go out and get him the day that free agency started last year? Because of his potential, because of the things that he does well. Those things at this point in his career are still outweighing the turnovers.
Well, he actually, as far as I was concerned, I thought he was pretty good whenever he got a chance to do anything with the Niners. I didn't see any problems. And I thought, with the Niners type of offense, he might actually fit pretty well into that.
Yeah.
So,
yes, because they have enough good players and enough diversity so that he's not under pressure as much. Therefore, he wouldn't turn over the ball as much. When he's with the Jets, when he's with Carolina, it was all on him.
They didn't have the offensive coach.
Right, exactly. He pressed and he turned the ball over.
Speaking of turnovers, let's quickly talk about what I consider the intriguing team of the 2024 season, the most intriguing team, those Pittsburgh Steelers.
Your definition of intriguing, it changes from minute to minute. But go ahead.
Well, again, it's You got the quarterback scenario, right? You got a coach who came out early on and said, you know, no quarterback competition. Russ is the
Right,
man, right?
right.
Now he's like, the competition is on.
I, and then I just heard the other day he said Russell's my guy. Russell's number one on the depth chart. As
And
soon as he's able to play, he'll play.
so you got your quarterback situation. Then you add the Ayuk thing that's going on. Now, if they got Ayuk, they would definitely be the most intriguing team out there just to see what they're going to do now that they've put that together.
I disagree.
You don't, you do. You don't think they
I
would be
think
intriguing?
I think the quarterback issue is far more important than whether they get Ayuk or not.
Well, I didn't say important. You said important. I said intriguing. That just means interesting to me. It just adds a level of interest. Number one, being a Niner fan, right? To see wherever IU goes, it's going to be very interesting to see, how he fits in and contributes. But in the Steelers offense in particular, with the offensive receivers, running backs, the quarterback scenario, I just think it's going to be extremely interesting to see Ayuk in that offense all of a sudden. So
I
that
like Brandon Ayuk. I dread him going to the Steelers. I hope
dread.
like I hope like hell he stays with the Niners.
No, so do I.
We talked about this last year,
So do
and
I.
I said I believe he will stay with the Niners. I believe he wants to stay with the Niners. I believe he will do whatever he needs to do, regardless of what he says, regardless of trade requests, regardless of all that. He would rather stay with the Niners. And I think that's beginning to play itself out.
Okay. We'll keep an eye out on that. All
It's
right.
going
So,
to happen.
did you see any of the Texans?
Um, I watched some of the Texans game, yes.
CJ Stroud came out, got it done. Bam, bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. And he was off.
Yeah,
Good.
and that's great. I think that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
He's still young. They're still, making a point of letting everybody know, yeah, we're here. We're not afraid of anybody. Our defense is tight, and we got a top-notch quarterback who's going to take us back to the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we're going to advance. I tell you what, I love what the Houston Texans are doing. I really, really do. That to me is a far more intriguing intriguing team rather than the Steelers. The way they're building this team, the way they came, it was just a couple of years ago, maybe two. They won 3 games. 3. Now look at them. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
They've gone from dumpster fire to model franchise practice.
Absolute. Yes.
So with you getting right,
I like that. I like that what you said, model franchise. Because other teams are looking at them like, what the heck? How did they do that fast?
This is how you turn
New head coach, new coordinators, new quarterback. Unbelievable, man.
new brain trust, as we would say.
Yes.
New brain trust.
Well, I got a little bit more in this past weekend.
Okay, go ahead.
I know there's not a lot of Denver Bronco fans out there, okay? But Bo Nix actually played pretty well. And I know people are looking at Sean Payton, and people have a lot of opinions about Sean Payton and how he didn't quite seem to be able to get along with Russell Wilson last year and whose fault it was for the failure in Denver, okay? But Bo Nix looks like his kind of guy. I think he's really happy with him, and he's happy with the situation where he can say, well, I still got Jared Stidham at number 1 on my depth chart, but I like what Bo is doing. I think Bo Nix is going to, if he doesn't win the job by week 1, I doubt they get to 5 or 6 games before Bo Nix is starting. I think Sean Payton is very happy with Bo Nix, really likes him. He came into that game last week in the second quarter. He played till halftime, and then he came back and he started in the third quarter. He led 4 long scoring drives. He made impressive plays, long and short, but he also made some rookie mistakes. He wasn't perfect. He did run 3 times. I think one was a designed run. The other 2 were scrambles. He completed 15 to 21 passes, which is actually pretty good, 215 yards, and he did throw 1 touchdown pass. This is a real competition. You want to talk about quarterback competitions? Him and Jarrett Stidham are going blow for blow. And I know nobody cares about Jarrett Stidham, but guess what? I think this is a real quarterback competition if you are, in fact, looking for one. And I believe Bo Nix will end up winning this at the end.
I would hope that Bo Nix can beat out Jarrett Stidham for the Broncos' sake.
I mean, he's obviously the quarterback of the future. The whole deal is it sooner or later?
All right, all right. Anything else?
Now, unless you want to talk about your boy Ayuk, well, I pretty much already let you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, pretty much 100%.
I mean, a week ago, they were putting out reports. It's done. Steelers got him. It's done, but it ain't done.
And what is that what I said?
I tell you why it's not done. Because he don't want to play for the Steelers. He wants to stay with the 49ers.
Now, from what I understand, the Niners want 2 first-round picks. Were the Steelers really prepared to give up something like that?
No. I don't even think they got 2 first-round picks to give him unless they give him years in advance.
I don't know how the deal could be done.
They also said that they wanted a veteran wide receiver of starting quality.
Yeah, they're not.
They don't have that either. Because they already traded Deontay Johnson. They could have used Deontay Johnson, but they traded him to the Panthers. So now all they got is George Pickens. They can't give him up because they want to pair Ayuk and Pickens. That gives them a formidable wide receiver tandem. So they can't give up Pickens, so they can't satisfy the Niners. I think if, in fact, they had a receiver that would satisfy the Niners would take, I believe they offered them a 2nd and a 5th. But the Niners don't really want to make the trade. That's why they made it so hard to set 2 first-rounders.
Got the bar way up.
Right. And Ayuk doesn't want to leave. That's why he turned down $32 million from the Patriots.
And I still don't know how the Niners are going to manage cap space, considering that they only had about 30 million in 2024, and they were already 20+ million over the cap in 2025. So, but that's why I'm saying, call me when it's done. Since we're talking Ayuk, let's just mention real quick the other 2 primo receivers that are sort of in the same situation. CeeDee Lamb, right?
That's crazy.
And the Bengals.
Jamar Chase. So one's a holdout, one's a hold-in, who's about to become a holdout. That would be Jamar. Jamar's been coming to camp. He's been around the facility. In fact, he may have even worked out a little bit. I didn't double check that. But he's been in the facility. But today, he did not report to work. So I don't know if negotiations are in progress or if they've been stalled, but he's not happy with the way things are going. And the crazy thing is, here's the crazy thing. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's got his 4th year, I believe, and the team's 5th year option. That's why they're slow rolling him. But A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, all these guys that making top money, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase is right up there with them. They cannot deny that this man needs a contract extension. They can't deny it. They can hold him to his contract, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Well, just taking a quick look here, Benny. Jamar Chase in 2024 has a base salary of $1,055,000.
They're stealing.
Prorated bonus of 4.9 million, roster bonus of 3.8. So he had a guaranteed salary coming in at 4.8 plus million. He's hitting them at 9.8 million on the cap, though. Next year,
Tell me this real quick. Tell me this: is Jamar Chase better than Brandon Ayuk?
I struggle with that and saying yes, although as a pure receiver, I might say yes.
Okay, Ayuk is on his fifth-year team option, so he got drafted the year before Jamar Chase. He's making 14 this year if he doesn't get a new contract. 14. Jamar Chase is getting robbed without a gun.
Well, Jamar Chase still has a 2025 year, as you said.
That's right. And at that point, they can bump that up. They're free to bump
2025 right now, his base salary, guaranteed salary, and cap are all the same at 21.8 million. So he's going to go to 21 million next year.
He's worth more than that.
Huh?
I understand why he's upset. He's already proven in his short amount of time in the NFL that he's up there with those other guys making that big money. The high 20s, low 30s. I don't blame him for doing what he's doing.
Well, again, that's an opinion I can understand.
Yeah, but that's a problem. They don't have to do it. He's under contract.
Well, that's the thing. These guys sign these contracts and they're so happy to sign them as rookies, and then 2-3 years later they outplay the contract. And they're like,
you have a choice to sign a rookie contract. You can't ask for a ton of money on a rookie contract. You're limited.
well, okay. It's how the NFL has the deal rigged.
That's the way it's structured.
That's the way it's structured, and the union is behind it. But everybody gets a lot of money eventually. So we'll see how that all works out. All right, let's hit the Ben and Barry Facebook page. Okay, Benny. So rounding out the preseason games, I had mentioned about about the Patriots rather, but I don't think we really got into the potential quarterback battle that's going on with Joe Milton versus Drake May.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to see any of that?
Yes.
What's your take on it?
Okay, so obviously the Patriots spent a first-round pick, a very high first-round pick on Drake May. GMs that make high first-round picks, especially on quarterbacks, want to try their best or have the team try its best to make sure that they pan out. What I've heard coming out of Patriots camp is Drake May is making slow and steady progress. Those are the words I'm hearing from the head coach. Those are the words I'm hearing through the media, okay? They've already made it pretty clear that Jacoby Brissett is the #1 guy on the depth chart. He will probably start the season week 1. However, 6th-round draft pick Joe Milton out of Tennessee completed 4-6 passes for 54 yards. One of those passes was a 38-yard touchdown pass. He also ran for 25 yards. One of those runs, it was actually a pass play. He scrambled for about 20 seconds before he turned and took it upfield, got the first down, and kind of awkwardly, because I know how you really like your quarterbacks to slide, kind of awkwardly got down. He did avoid a big hit. He kind of dove forward, and he had already gotten the first down. He dove forward for maybe like another yard. Joe Milton, at this point, with less snaps in practice, is physically outplaying Drake May.
So that's the other potential quarterback battle in the NFL for that number 2 spot there. And just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. That's on our page.
Absolutely.
All right.
But believe me, they're going to lean toward Drake May because they don't want to make it look like they made a mistake.
Here's just something fun, Ben, for me and you to chew on for a second. And again, people love Mike Tomlin for his quotes. How did you like this one, Benny? If you have big guys that can run and little guys that can hit, you'll have a pretty good football team.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. A big guy that can run, regardless of the position that he plays, is a very dangerous man. And a little guy that can hit, let me give you one right off the top of my head, an ex-Steeler, Hines Ward, is a very dangerous man. The more dangerous men you have on your team, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're just going to touch this, Benny. I'm not going to go too deep in this because I'm preparing a more thorough discussion. But apparently, the Jets missed out on a $20 million insurance payout. They didn't get the policy. They didn't get an insurance policy for injury on one Aaron Rodgers, who has had pretty much every section of his body injured at this particular point. And how old is Aaron Rodgers right now?
He's well into his 30s. So
he's one of a few different high-profile players who whose teams have chosen not to insure them, or they've chosen not to insure themselves against loss of value, inability to play, things of that nature. So we're going to talk about some of the different policies and how they've changed over the years, and who else is looking at policies now. But what I understand, one of the teams that insures their players at the highest level is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
So they play that insurance game, and we'll talk about what's going on in college, because it's the NIL is changing the game on college players. Now all of a sudden they have a monetary value that could potentially, or needs to potentially, be insured. So there's a lot going on with that in the background that most people are not talking about. Because I'm the knucklehead that wants to talk about that kind of stuff. So I'll have a little bit more on that as we move forward.
Okay.
All right, we were counting down. Dwayne Thomas passed away, former Cowboys running back, Super Bowl champion, 77 years old. And I just remember Dwayne Thomas as one of those guys who was fast, fluid, and I liked watching him run, man. I liked watching him run.
Absolutely. Very good running back. Good combination of speed, elusiveness, a little bit of power, kind of knew when to pick his spots as far as lowering his shoulder was concerned against linebackers and DBs. but he had the speed and the cutting ability to get to the second level consistently, and that made him a really good running back. Yes, and he was on one of the Cowboys Super Bowl teams and contributed mightily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 33, rest in peace, Dwayne Thomas. We always like to throw a little shout out to those UFL players who get an opportunity to move to the NFL. So Luis Perez is now with the Los Angeles Chargers. And Justin Herbert already is he's got a foot injury, right?
Plantar fasciitis.
Old plantar fasciitis got him. Opportunity for Lewis?
I mean, yeah, it's an opportunity. I'm sure they brought him in just to be a body. But again, personally, he has to look at it as an opportunity to shine in front of some professional coaches, put some stuff on tape. Hopefully, I'm sure he's hoping he can get into a preseason game. Maybe this upcoming week, he can get some snaps in the upcoming game, and he can put some stuff on tape and maybe get a chance to stick with somebody. If not the Chargers, maybe somebody else.
Yeah, but he'll, like you're saying, he should get some extra snaps, with with what's going on there with Justin Herbert. So now the next thing, Benny, that we want to move to, right up your what we call your wheelhouse here. Let's see if I can get to it real quick. Fantasy football 2024, 11 breakout candidates. Got some people here that you're talking about, and names that I know you've even turned me on to. One, Kyron Williams, for example. My boy, Puka Nacua. Of course, you got Christian Cafferty and CD Lamb. So they're throwing out 9 names, and here we have one, Anthony Richardson. What do you like? What do you like about Anthony?
Well, first of all, Anthony Richardson came in the draft 2 years ago with a lot of hype out of the University of Florida, dual threat quarterback, kind of put you in the mind of a Cam Newton, okay, with his size and his speed and his throwing ability. Unfortunately, early on in the season, he sustained a shoulder injury, took him out for the season. He is now back. He is now 100% healthy. So, yeah, we got to look at him as breakout candidate because we haven't had a chance to really see what he can do. But his small sample size kind of predicts that this guy could be big time.
Okay. Small sample size, eh?
Yeah, I think he only played like 4 games.
Let's see here. After him, let's see who we have here. Gus Edwards, running back with the Chargers.
Right. Now, first of all, in case anybody's asleep at the wheel, let me remind you, Jim Harbaugh is back in the NFL. He is the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. His brother, John Harbaugh, is the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Gus Edwards is a running back who used to play for the Baltimore Ravens and who has now been traded to the Los Angeles Chargers. Nepotism in another way. Here we go. But here's the great thing. Austin Eckler, who was the #1 running back for the Chargers last season, is now with the Washington Commanders. So they need a starting running back. And guess who they ended up with? Gus Edwards. And guess what kind of head coach Harbaugh is? A running coach. This is the best opportunity Gus Edwards will ever have to make his mark as a #1 running back in the NFL. No Lamar Jackson to compete with. Nobody to compete with him for goal line carries. And Gus Edwards averaged more career yards per carry than Christian McCaffrey and Adrian Peterson, and a higher rate of 10-yard rushes than Derrick Henry and Todd Gurley. So I know a lot of people out there think Gus Edwards is a plugger, 3 yards, 4 yards, maybe breaks off an 8-yard run here and there. Gus Edwards can do damage. Oh, and guess who's backing up Gus Edwards?
Who?
Who was the other running back with the Ravens last year? J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. Okay.
Bam. He's on the Chargers now.
So that's a dual threat running back situation that you got there.
Yes. Now, J.K.'s coming off an injury, but he should be ready by week 1.
Okay.
So they got a 1-2 punch right off the bat, thanks to their brother.
Next up, Benny, is one Isaiah Pacheco.
Ah, yes.
Not a big guy, but he runs violently, as they say. That's how they describe his running style, violent running style. You gotta like a little guy like that he's just going after it. You know, every play you give him the ball and you know he's going for it all the way, 110%. You know what I mean? So you like Pacheco on your fantasy?
Yes, I do. I'll tell you why. Jerick McKinnon, ex-49er, was the third down back, the guy that caught the ball out of the backfield. He's getting a little long in the tooth. So last year, Isaiah Pacheco, in limited opportunities, was able to flash some receiving potential. This may make him a solid 3-down back. If he becomes a solid 3-down back, he's going to be a even bigger weapon for the Chiefs than he was last season and the season before. I really like Isaiah Pacheco. If you look at a lot of fantasy information, he's kind of on that second tier of top running backs in fantasy. You got your McCaffreys, your Derrick Henrys, your Breece Halls from the Jets, your Jahmyr Gibbs from the Lions, and then not too far under them, you will find Isaiah Pacheco. He has an opportunity to have a big season this year with the Chiefs.
Well, the only thing I can see that's holding him back is he's got Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback and a passing game that's superior, you know, even though last year they had to build it, but no problem passing it.
Guess what? With Hollywood Brown down with an injury for the first few games, they're right back where they were. Going to be depending on him.
Okay. Well, we know one thing. Situationally, Coach Reed will run that ball.
Absolutely.
No, especially if it comes time to run the clock out, he will run that ball on you, no doubt about it. Next up, Benny, Zamir White.
Right. Zamir White, late in the season, got a chance to show what he can do. 4 straight games, 20+ touches, and 13+ fantasy points per game. 13 points in fantasy is nothing to sneeze at. It's not great, but it's really good. Now Josh Jacobs is gone. He's in Green Bay now. That makes Zamir White the #1 running back in Las Vegas. Believe me, the Raiders don't look as strong as some of the other teams in their division. And they also have quarterback issues. They haven't even decided yet who their starting quarterback is going to be between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. So the running game is going to be extremely important. Zamir White has shown, again, in a small sample size, that he can get the job done. He will get every opportunity be the number one running back on that team.
All right, moving forward, Javonte Williams.
Kind of same situation as Zamir White. Last year, he had to split carries with Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's now gone. That means all he has to fight over carries with is Samaje Perine, who is obviously better than, and Jaleel McLaughlin, who's kind of young. I like Javonte Williams. I think he's going to do really well. If I remember correctly, I want to say he came out of North Carolina. He's been in the league for a couple of years. He's already shown if he can stay healthy. He's a really good ball carrier. Not the greatest at catching passes out of the backfield, but if he stays healthy, he can really grind it out. Big opportunity to have a breakout year.
Let's move towards some receivers here, Benny. How about one Josh Palmer?
Okay, this one's easy. Okay. The Chargers had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Great wide receiver tandem. Josh Palmer was kind of the number 3 guy, so his numbers were always down. But every time Mike Williams got hurt, which was kind of often over the last couple of seasons, Josh Palmer's numbers went up. When Keenan Allen got hurt, Josh Palmer's numbers went up. Now they're both gone. Keenan Allen went to the Commanders. Mike Williams went to the Jets. Josh Palmer is now, all of a sudden, the number 1 receiver in Charger land. Great opportunity to be a breakout player.
Okay, all right.
This. I hope you're listening. This is some good fantasy stuff here.
Benny, you were kind of talking not real great about the Steelers receivers, but we have one George Pickens here.
Well, I can't. It's hard for me to get excited about their receiver situation because the quarterback situation is still up in the air. Okay? We still don't know 100% if that debacle in Denver last year was because of Sean Payton or because of Russell Wilson. And just when we thought we were going to get a chance to really get a good look at Russell Wilson in a new system, he gets a little calf injury. Then we go, oh, this might not be bad because we've seen all these flashes from Justin Fields. Now he's got a chance to really show off without Russell Wilson cutting into his time. And what happens? He fumbles 2 snaps. He throws the ball all over the doggone place and doesn't make himself really look good. So I have no problem with George Pickens. He has the opportunity to be the number 1 guy. The slim possibility of Ayuk coming over there, which I think is very slim. He has the opportunity to be the number 1 receiver on this team, but can the quarterback make all that potential come true? That's the only question there. He's got the skills.
How about one Rashid Shaheed for the New Orleans Saints?
Rashid Shaheed. I like Rashid Shaheed. There's another guy, I don't even know if he's on this list, that reminds me of Rashid Shaheed, and that's Khalil, the guy with Buffalo. But anyway, we'll get to him. I like Rashid Shaheed.
Okay.
Why he has an opportunity to be a breakout player is because Mike Thomas finally got healthy, and now he's gone. In fact, I don't even know if anybody picked Mike Thomas up yet. I think he's still out there as a free agent. I could be mistaken, but I think he's still out there.
Yeah, we have to check that out. See where.
Yeah, we have to take that out because can't guard Mike used to be one of my favorite guys.
Yeah, can't guard Mike. Right.
But Rashid Shaheed has the great opportunity to have a breakout season this year. But again, we're talking about Derek Carr. Some people like Derek Carr. Some people don't like Derek Carr. We'll have to wait and see.
How about Garrett Wilson?
Oh,
No.
Garrett Wilson, in my mind, is without a doubt a number one high quality wide receiver. The only reason we don't really know how good he can actually be is because Aaron Rodgers got injured last year. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, and we've already seen video of them arguing on the sideline, I believe those arguments are because Garrett Wilson knows that if Aaron Rodgers features him, he can blow up. And I think Aaron Rodgers knows if he features him, they can both blow up. But of course, Aaron, excuse me, Aaron being the veteran is trying to take it easy, young boy. You know what I mean? Garrett Wilson he's got all the skills, route running, hands, speed, everything.
Well, okay. So you like Garrett Wilson?
Love Garrett Wilson.
Let's move over to tight ends. And what do you have on Brock Bowers?
All right, so Brock Bowers in college was George Kittle. Okay, he's the closest thing to George Kittle you're going to see in the near future. This kid can run. He's not super big. He's not a great blocker, but he's a pretty good blocker. But in the passing game, he can run routes. He can get open. He's got really good hands. He will probably, his rookie season, be a top 10 tight end in this league. He's going to surpass a whole bunch of dudes. Brock Bowers is the real deal. Now, the fact that he plays for the Raiders could hold him down a little bit because, again, like I mentioned, their quarterback situation is still a little bit up in the air. But regardless of who wins that quarterback job on the Raiders, Brock Bowers is going to be a main target.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they got Devontae Adams. Sure, he's number one. They got Jacoby Myers. He'll probably be number 2A, but Brock Bowers will be number 2B.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, tight end is quarterback's best friend.
Exactly.
Last but not least, Benny, Dalton Kincaid with Buffalo.
Dalton Kincaid. My daughter knows about him. A lot of people thought Dalton Kincaid was going to have a blow-up season last year. Unfortunately, he still had Dawson Knox to contend with, the other tight end, and he had Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs with his sideline antics and get me the ball, and all that kind of had Josh Allen a little bit in a tizzy. But Diggs is gone now. And I think, in my opinion, Kincaid has proven himself to be a better receiver than Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is kind of the blocking tight end. Kincaid is the receiving tight end. So we're looking at Khalil Shakir as being the number one receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Behind him, we got your boy, Keon Coleman, who I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I really, really like him. I really do. But as far as tight ends are concerned, this could be a breakout year for Dalton Kincaid. I don't see either one of them really holding him back. You know what I'm saying? I think Josh Allen is in a situation where he's going to be able to spread the ball around, and Kincaid is going to get plenty of opportunities, plenty of targets.
Okay, Benny, that sounds great. Well, we're pushing up on time a little bit, so let's do kind of move a little quick now. We can move through the rest of the page and see what we got here. All right, let's give a hearty happy retirement to one Nick Foles. Happy retirement, Nick Foles. on his
I'm
way.
a Giants fan, but I'm not a hater.
Not a hater.
Nick Foles won y'all a Super Bowl. All you Philadelphia fans out there, bow down to him, worship him, because it might be a while before you win another one.
He got a statue, don't he?
Yeah,
So there you go.
Philly.
Falcons wide receiver Rondale Moore, season-ending knee injury.
Yeah, there's been a few injuries. We could do a whole show on some of these season-ending injuries to major players. He just came over to the Falcons from the Cardinals, and he's down for the year. Hopefully, he'll have a successful comeback next season.
Now, Benny, we were all happy because our show, Good Morning Football, returned. But when it returned, we were missing one of the McCourty guys who was one of the stalwarts on the show. And he got replaced by, now I'm going to screw this guy's name up because it's the long African sounding name. It's the guy,
Okay.
he was on the Ultimate Warrior show or something like that, where the guys are swinging from one thing to the other.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's sort of the new guy, replacing the McCourty brothers, but they're still rocking it here, and they're part of the Patriots preseason broadcast team now.
Right.
So you got the twins both getting an opportunity to work together, and
They did the Patriots preseason game together.
Yeah. So, and they're kind of like us. They agree and they don't agree. So they will go after it between each other. So I kind of like that. We counted down here. You talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. saying he never signed the Fanatics contract. His dad did. His dad said, yeah, I signed it. And he signed it for an LLC, and we don't know who owns the LLC or where's
He owns the LLC. Junior owns the LLC.
Well, there you go. But Junior said not his contract somehow. So that's going to be ongoing. We talked a little bit about Jaden Daniels dropping dimes. We have a little video on that as we count down. Next week, Benny, let's come back and let's look at Orlovsky's 7 different traits on the quarterback. And we could put together a nice piece on that, I think, next week.
I'd love to.
We talked about JJ McCarthy going down. I did try to find out if they had an insurance policy on him. I could not find that out.
Probably
Keep
not.
that out. We'll keep that out. Tavon Austin officially retiring. The man was lightning. I saw him fire up my Niners in one of the highlights that he had.
He put in some years. He made some money. That's all I can say about him.
All right. I'm not gonna be mad. Let's wrap it up with this one, Benny, because this is hilarious to me because Warren Sapp is hilarious. I love Warren Sapp. He said that basically these kids, he says, when he was dealing with pros would say, I'm gonna call you, right? Well, I'm gonna get some information, I'm gonna work out.
Right. He put himself out there to help people.
And they wouldn't call.
Right.
He said, and he called them babies. He said, these babies is calling me 5:30 in the morning to go look at film. He's loving it. He's like, I'm addicted now to being a coach.
It's funny because if you've seen him on TV being interviewed, he's always got something to say.
No doubt.
Always got something to say, either opinionated about the game or about his position. This guy's got a lot of knowledge, man. A lot of knowledge. And he wants to give that knowledge out. And he has talked to guys that are already in the NFL about helping them out with their game. And some of them said, you know what? I'm going to get with you. But they never did. But now that he's with University of Colorado, those kids don't have no choice. I'm here for you. And they're loving it. First of all, he's funny.
Right, exactly.
He's engaging. He knows what he's talking about. and he's not all crippled up. He can still swim, move, rip. He still got all of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So these kids are learning and they're loving it. And he's loving the fact that his knowledge is being appreciated. That's a great thing.
Can you see Coach Warren Sapp head coach in the future?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
He's still a bit of a wild guy, but I think again, he called them babies, and to me, that showed the empathy and where he really kind of heartfelt, what's going on over there. So I wouldn't rule it out. Would not rule it out at all, Benny. Would not rule it out. Okay. As we always like to say, thanks for following. Please leave comments and suggestions. Our hashtag is football is life. You can reach us at www.benandbarryonfootball.com. So before we wrap it up, you have an opportunity for any last comments. And don't make it too long because we have only a few minutes left.
Oh, wow. Oh, I know. There seems to be a little controversy out there about the upcoming Hall of Fame class and Eli Manning being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let me tell y'all something. Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame, and Eli's numbers are better than Kurt Warner's. And Kurt Warner played for the Giants at one point. So I don't want to hear nothing else y'all got to say. Eli Manning not only won 2 Super Bowls, which is your big criteria, but he was also the MVP of both those Super Bowl games, and he beat Tom Brady in both of those Super Bowl games. So I don't want to hear it. Put him in the Hall.
And one of them was where they were pretty much undefeated for the season.
Yes. Yes.
So,
yes.
like I said, like you said, I'm with you. He's got all the criteria that I require. So, all right, one for Eli, baby. Go ahead, Benny. Way to put it out there. Ben and Barry on football signing off. Peace.